I am the Warrior of Light. At least that's what they call me. I'm no hero. I'm merely an adventurer trying to eke out a living. And in my line of work, you either die a heroic death or live long enough to walk the path of villainy.
What's so much, Mopey? You're just bitter and brooding because you have to redo all of your job videos.
Damn it, I do.
Yeah, get over it. Don't you have a Paladin video to work on right now?
Fine. Bathed in holy light and trained in the deadly arts of sword and shield, the Paladin is a stalwart knight that pierces the darkness with both blade and searing light. Having trained at the Gladiators Guild in Ul'dah, the Paladin mixes offensive sword techniques with holy aspected spells while defending itself with both shield and magic barriers. This makes the Paladin a serious, highly resilient threat to all of its foes. Let's first go over the basics, starting with the Paladin's tank stance. As of Shadowbringers, all 4 tanks each have an ability that, when activated, increases the enmity or threat that their attacks generate significantly. For Paladins, this ability is called Iron Will. This ability replaces the old ability, Shield Oath, but unlike Shield Oath, Iron Will no longer grants 20% damage reduction to the Paladin. That effect has been moved to a new level 1 trait that all tanks have access to, called Tank Mastery. Let's now briefly examine the Oath gauge. This horizontal bar is the Oath gauge. Through the Oath Mastery trait earned at level 35, the Paladin gains access to this gauge. Each auto attack that the Paladin lands generates 5 Oath points, which are used as resources for abilities that will be explained later on. Right now, let's go over the Paladin's basic weapon skill combos. The Paladin has one area of effect or AoE weapon skill combo comprised of 2 skills, and also 2 single target weapon skill combos comprised of 3 skills each. Let's quickly go over the more straightforward AoE weapon skill combo first. The first skill in this combo is Total Eclipse, learned at level 6. Total Eclipse is a simple attack that damages all nearby enemies. At level 40, the Paladin gains access to Prominence, which does even more damage to all nearby enemies when preceded by Total Eclipse. As an additional combo bonus effect, Prominence also restores the Paladin's MP. Now, let's go over the 2 single target weapon skill combos. Both combos start off with the same 2 skills, Fast Blade, the Gladiator's starting attack, followed by Riot Blade, learned at level 4. Through the level 58 trait Chivalry, Riot Blade gains MP Restore as an additional weapon skill combo effect. For the first combo, the third and final weapon skill is Rage of Halone, learned at level 26. I will return to discussing the changes involving Rage of Halone very shortly. As for the second combo, the third and final weapon skill is Goring Blade, learned at level 54, which is a strong attack that also inflicts a damage over time effect on the target enemy for 21 seconds. And now let's quickly go back to Rage of Halone and examine the change it undergoes once you hit level 60. Upon reaching level 60, the Paladin gains the Rage of Halone Mastery trait. This changes Rage of Halone, turning it into Royal Authority. Royal Authority not only does significantly more damage than Rage of Halone when performed in a combo, but it also has an additional perk. When the Paladin gains the Sword Oath trait at level 76, successfully completing the Royal Authority combo grants 3 stacks of the Sword Oath effect. Each of these stacks can be consumed by the very powerful weapon skill Atonement, also learned at level 76. The Sword Oath effect stacks do have limited duration, so it is best to consume them all by performing 3 consecutive atonements. While we're on the topic of weapon skills, let's go over the last 2 weapon skills that have not been mentioned yet. The first is Shield Bash, learned at level 10. Shield Bash is an attack that both damages and stuns an enemy for 6 seconds. Shield Bash is a useful on-demand interrupt as well as a helpful emergency mitigation tool, particularly when dealing with an overwhelming amount of enemies. The last weapon skill is the level 15 skill, Shield Blob, a ranged attack that has an increased enmity effect. Let's now move on to the Paladin's abilities, starting with the offensive abilities. The first of these learned is Spirits Within, learned at level 30. Spirits Within does decent damage, but be warned as its potency decreases as the Paladin's own HP decreases. As with Riot Blade, Spirits Within restores MP upon gaining the Chivalry trait. Next is the level 50 ability Circle of Scorn, an AoE that also inflicts affected enemies with a 15-second damage over time effect. At level 68, the Paladin learns Requiescat, a melee range ability that deals heavy damage, with its potency decreasing the lower the Paladin's current MP is. Also, if used while the Paladin is still above 80% of its total MP, this ability will grant the Requiescat effect, which increases all healing and magic damage potency by 50%. Finally, with the level 78 trait, Enhanced Requiescat, the Requiescat effect now allows the Paladin to cast any spells with a cast time as an instant cast spell. This gives the Paladin 12 seconds of complete mobility while casting its spells. The final offensive ability is Intervene, learned at level 74. Intervene is a gap closer that also deals respectable damage. It also has a maximum of 2 charges, so it could be used back to back for some real good damage, or one can be kept unused in case of emergencies. Now let's move on to the defensive abilities. Sheltron is first up at level 35. Sheltron blocks all incoming attacks for a total of 4 seconds. With the enhanced Sheltron trait at level 74, Sheltron now blocks all incoming attacks for 6 seconds. Sheltron costs 50 oath points from the oath gauge. Next up is the level 38 ability, Sentinel. Sentinel mitigates all damage taken by 30% for 10 seconds. At level 45, the Paladin learns Cover. When using cover on another party member, the Paladin takes all damage for that person for 12 seconds, although certain attacks are not affected by this. Using cover consumes 50 oath points as well. Next is Hallowed Ground, learned at level 50. For 10 seconds, Hallowed Ground renders the Paladin invulnerable to almost all manner of attacks. Upon reaching level 56, the Paladin learns Divine Veil, which grants a Divine Veil effect to the Paladin. While under this effect, upon receiving healing from either itself or its allies, the Paladin loses the Divine Veil effect, while magic barriers equaling 10% of the Paladin's maximum HP will be applied to any of the Paladin's party members within a 15 yalm radius. Intervention is next at level 62. Using Intervention on a target party member reduces their damage taken by 10%. If the Paladin is under the effect of either Rampart or Sentinel, the party member instead takes 20% and 30% less damage respectively. Intervention uses up 50 oath points when used. The final defensive ability is Passage of Arms, learned at level 70. Passage of Arms grants the Paladin a 100% block rate to all incoming attacks for 18 seconds. Additionally, any party member standing within the designated cone area behind the Paladin will gain 15% damage mitigation. Passage of Arms will end abruptly if the Paladin uses another action or moves, including turning to face a different direction. Let's now move on to our final set of actions, the Paladin's spells. Let's start off with the offensive spells. This is Holy Spirit, learned at level 64. Holy Spirit is a ranged offensive spell that deals a moderate amount of damage and costs 2000 MP to cast. At level 72, the Paladin learns Holy Circle. This powerful AoE attack spell deals a great amount of damage to all nearby enemies at the cost of 2000 MP as well. At last, upon reaching level 80, the Paladin learns Confiteor. Confiteor is a heavy damage unaspected spell that devastates an enemy and all enemies nearby it. This extremely powerful spell can only be cast while under the Requiescat effect. Upon casting, Confiteor ends the Requiescat effect. Outside of offensive spells, the Paladin does have one more spell up its sleeve. This is Clemency, learned at level 58. Clemency is a strong healing spell that restores a significant amount of health to either the Paladin or a target ally. When cast on a fellow party member, the Paladin itself will be healed for 50% of the amount the party member was healed for. And now I would like to show you the opener I generally use. Please note that there is most likely a more optimal opener out there, and if you know a better one, please do feel free to share it in the comments below. But this one in particular has served me quite well, and I would like to share it with you all. Alright, let's get to work. Okay, now let's go over what I did. First, I used Shield Lob to start the fight. Next, I used Fast Blade to start my first combo. I weave in Intervene and Spirits Within for extra damage. I follow up with Right Blade, weaving in Circle of Scorn to place a dot on the target. I finish the combo with Goring Blade, weaving in Requiescat to prep for my spell phase. I next use 4 back-to-back Holy Spirits, which are empowered and instant cast thanks to the Requiescat effect. I finish with Confiteor for some massive damage, ending the Requiescat effect. I start my melee phase now with Fast Blade. I follow up with Right Blade, weaving in Fight or Flight to boost my physical damage. I finish the combo with Goring Blade to apply a dot. I start my next combo with Fast Blade. I use Right Blade after, weaving in Intervene and Spirits Within for some added damage. I finish this combo with Royal Authority, weaving in Intervene and Circle of Scorn. Next, I use 3 consecutive Atonements, which become available thanks to the Royal Authority combo. I start my final opener combo with Fast Blade, following up with the usual Right Blade. Finally, I finish the combo as well as the opener with Goring Blade. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it and would like to see more videos like this in the future, please consider leaving a like to let me know that you enjoy this type of content. Please also consider subscribing to the channel and clicking that notification icon if you'd like to be notified of my latest uploads. Your support would be highly appreciated. Thank you again, and as always, take care and have a great one.